Oh, well, hello there, Queen City Football, and welcome to a season recap video. Before we jump into the games, I just want to thank anyone out there who is watching. I know, beginning of a YouTube channel, I'm just learning how to do a lot of this stuff. It might be a little bit rough, but I hope you will like and stick around for a little bit more. If you are a Panthers fan, just a football fan, a Panthers fan that wants to hear more people's opinions on stuff. Maybe you just want someone to talk to about it. I'll be in the comments, if there are any comments this time. Only my second video, I'm not expecting much. I'm doing this more as a hobby anyway, to fill some spare time I've got. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, the preseason. So, for the Panthers this year, the preseason really didn't give us anything to be excited about, anything to be worried about, because we didn't see much. The starters on offense only did one drive against a secondary unit for the Bills, and I'm not really sure how much the starting defense played, but I'm sure it wasn't much, and I'm sure it wasn't against anyone that great. For our preseason, I was kind of hoping to see Bryce Young get some reps, get some rhythm going. With him not having the greatest first season, I wanted him to be able to, in-game situations, be behind that new offensive line, get some rhythm with the new weapons we acquired through the draft, through free agency, and we just didn't get to see that. So going into week one, we really didn't know what to expect. So week one, Panthers Saints. How to describe week one of our NFL season? It kind of felt like New Year's Day. January 1st. You wake up with a mean hangover. Now you gotta go to work. And then your boss can tell that you're a little bit drunk. I said we didn't know what to expect from Bryce Young in the offense or the defense, and now that I saw it, it was not good, and I wish they did get some more snaps. We made Derek Carr and the Saints look like a bunch of Lamborghinis. And I know that's super overplayed. Derek Carr looked like a nice car or a rundown car, and it's not funny. But it wasn't funny to watch our defense play either. They just looked like they didn't want to be there. And then we're looking for what Bryce Young's going to bring to the table. First throw of the year, interception. And he just looks scared back there, even with a revamped offensive line. That was the biggest thing for me coming into this year. We were in no position to win, and I just wanted to see some growth. And I'll be honest, I saw that stat line after the game, after the score of 47-10, and I was hating Bryce Young, 13 for 30 for 161 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks in the opener of the season. Honestly, we looked like the worst team in the league week one, and I just thought we were cooked. So going into week two, hopes were not high. So, week two, Panthers, Chargers. We know who the Chargers want to be. They got a great offensive lineman in the first round, and they got J.K. Dobbins. Their defense was already good, so they were going to run the ball and control the clock. And run they did. J.K. Dobbins, 17 carries for 131 yards, 7.7 yards a carry, and had a touchdown. That's not even adding the rest of the rushing yards from the rest of the team. Which to me was kind of disappointing. With Derek Brown, Shaq Thompson, and we just got Jadeveon Clowney. On paper, I thought we had a unit. And up until this point, they were proving me wrong. It just wasn't working. We let up 200 yards on the ground. And going to the offense, I have to keep it short. Because we didn't do anything. Scored 3 points all day. Didn't pick up our first down until deep in the second quarter. And at the end of the game, It was 26-3. After this game, looking at our offensive line, I felt bad for Bryce Young. Not because our offensive line was letting everyone through, but because they looked like one of the best units in football. And that just meant Bryce was hearing ghost footsteps behind him. He was scared to get hit, so he didn't want to let go of the ball. He wasn't making reads quickly, which in Alabama is what he did. Quick reads, good movement of his feet, and he got the ball out. He was escaping a pocket before it collapsed. There's no need. Our offensive line looks good. He just looks scared. And then we go into week 3. And after the week 2 game, we find out big story breaks. Bryce Young's getting benched for Andy Dalton. And my thoughts were the same as a lot of people's. It'd probably be good for Bryce. He needed to sit and get his confidence back. Looking from the future, I think it worked pretty well. But back to week 3, Panthers-Raiders. This game as a fan was a fun watch, especially for a Panthers fan. Andy Dalton came out slinging the rock, and I loved it. He was getting it to everyone on the team. 7 different wide receivers had to catch, and 4 had over 40 yards receiving. And the 2 standouts on the game, Chuba Hubbard, 114 yards on the ground, 5 catches for 55 yards, and a receiving touchdown. And that's really important for our offense, establishing the run, having a weapon out of the backfield. For when Bryce Young comes back, he can dump it off when he gets under pressure. And it also opens up the field for players like Deontay Johnson that we just picked up this year. He had 8 catches and he turned that into 122 yards, a touchdown, and he was stretching the defense out so that Andy could get it to our rookies so we could see what they can do. And on top of a great game from the offense, the defense played great. Mike Jackson led the team with 9 tackles and an interception. They were all solo tackles from the cornerback's position. And we only let up 7 points in the first quarter, and then we shut them out second and third quarter, and they didn't really start scoring again until it was garbage time. It was a huge win, and not just for the records. 1-2, I mean, not great. Not a bad start either, but nobody cares. We're the Panthers. Nobody's talking about the Panthers going to the playoffs. What I cared about is that win was a win for the locker room. It was a win for our rookies. It was a win for our new pickups. Dave Canales made it clear that he doesn't care who you are. If you're not playing good, he'll sit you. If he thinks that you need to sit, you'll sit. And with Andy Dalton, like I said, we were able to see pieces like Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette, show up and give us hope and promise that our offense can do good. And we have some hope that we finally found a coach, and we're not going to be playing the revolving door this year. So going on to week 4, we had some hope. Week 4, Bengals-Panthers. And coming off that great win against the Raiders, looking at a Bengals team who's 0-3, I really thought we had a chance to make a move here. If you looked at the team stats alone and you didn't watch the game, you might think it was a tie. Maybe even the Panthers squeaked out a win here. Panthers won the total yard battle by only 3 yards. They both had a turnover, and then Panthers had the advantage on time of possession. So it was a really close game when it came down to stats. The reason we lost this game wasn't the offense. In fact, we had a good, if not great, day. Almost identical stats for Andy Dalton and Joe Burrow. Hubbard had another 100-yard rushing day, and Deontay Johnson again led us in receiving. The reason we lost was because of the defense, but more specifically, it was tackling. I couldn't find the stats, but I watched Jamar Chase break 3 tackles on a slant route that went 63 yards and a touchdown. Then I watched Zach Moss catch a ball where he should have been hit in the backfield for a 2-yard loss, juke 2 Panthers, and get into the end zone. And did I say it was 3rd and goal? That's 2 touchdowns that we gave up that could have been stopped if we just made good tackles in the open field. But we just couldn't. For everything our offense did, it just felt like we gave up an extra point. 1 more point than we got. That's what it felt like. And I mean, it kind of ended like that. 34-24. And then we lost Jerry Jeudy, Shaq Thompson, and we had lost Derek Brown week 1, and it was starting to show in our run defense. So what I was worried about was the defense, and the injuries are starting to pile up. Once again, we got to see some great things with Andy Dalton, starting with out of our new pieces, out of our old pieces. But it's starting to get a little bit worrying on that defensive side. So we go to week 5. To add insult to all of the injuries we have, week 5, Panthers-Bears. Our old number 1 wide receiver, DJ Moore, and our 2024 first round, first overall pick, Caleb Williams. And unfortunately, DJ Moore took that trade very personally.
Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal.
He destroyed us. 5 receptions for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Caleb did not want to miss out on that party. Had his best game of the season, 20 for 29, 304 yards, and those 2 touchdowns to DJ Moore. Our defense was hurt and could not keep up. They definitely didn't force turnovers like the Bears did. 2 forced fumbles, which they recovered, and an interception, which brings me to the offense. It seems like teams have kind of figured out at this point how to stop the Panthers and Andy Dalton. It's bring pressure, and the Bears brought a lot of pressure. They had 20 quarterback pressures and 10 quarterback hits, and sacked Andy Dalton alone 3 times. And then Bryce Young came in at the end of the game, and they sacked him too. That's not to say there weren't any bright spots on the day. Once again, Chuba Hubbard having a great day. 13 carries for 97 yards. And our only touchdown. Also, out of nowhere, the rookie Jalen Cokert caught all 4 of his 4 targets for 68 yards, leading us in receiving. But now, we're 1-4 and 1-2 with Andy Dalton. So, it's only been 3 games, but me as a person who wanted Bryce Young to sit is starting to weigh the options. Is it worth losing 36-10 just to see a couple players play good? And lose all those reps that Bryce Young could be getting. Now, did I want Bryce Young starting a game where there were 20 quarterback pressures? Not really. But maybe in the next week, he could have gotten some reps. But still going with Andy Dalton in week 6. So, I said this early in the video. Winning was not our priority this year. Seeing some growth was. But, going into a divisional game, week 6, Panthers-Falcons, I did not want to lose to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. It would hurt. And to start, we looked good. We came out, the Dalton to Johnson connection still looking strong, took 10 minutes off the clock, and scored on our first drive. Went into half, only down 5. But football is a tale of 2 halves. And in the second half, all we sent out was our kicker, because we only scored 3 points. The Falcons scored 16. The biggest problem was our run defense. Without Derek Brown back there, we just couldn't stop Bijan and Tyler Algier. they combined for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was not good on defense. Once again, we're looking for positives, so for the good, no surprise, Chuba Hubbard again, with a great day. 18 carries for 92 yards, and Deontay Johnson once again leading us in receiving. And then a new name, Jatavion Sanders, rookie tight end, caught 5 passes for 49 yards. And to top it off, Xavier Legette had one of the craziest catches I've seen out of a Panthers wide receiver in a long time, besides that Thielen catch against the Raiders in the corner of the end zone. The problem this year is showing, though. It's our defense. We can't stay healthy. And again, a loss. 38-20 this time against a division rival, against Kirk Cousins' Falcons. And there's a lot to be happy about, but you never want to lose to a division rival. So we go to week 7, I guess. So you just lost to Kirk Cousins' Falcons. Going into week 7, you guys are 1-5, and you're 1-3 with Andy Dalton starting. How much worse could it get? And here, kids, is why you never ask that question. How about the front runner for Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, been playing lights-out football, looking like a great quarterback. It would have been fine if he beat us, but he goes down with a rib injury. Take him out. Who comes out? None other than Marcus Mariota. And how many points does he give us? 40. I'll be honest, guys, I turned this game off at halftime. I usually watch games that we get blown out just to see the garbage time and see if we look any good. But 27-0 at halftime, that was done. I didn't even want to rewatch the highlights. So I don't really have a lot to talk about this game. It's not looking good. We're 1-6 now. Going into the Broncos game, I really didn't have much hope. Then, to make matters worse, we get news. Andy Dalton and his family got into a car accident. Luckily, everyone was okay. But Andy Dalton got a hand injury, so he can't play. And Bryce Young is going to be going up against Bo Nix and the Broncos. And ladies and gentlemen, things just got a little bit more interesting. Alright, Queen City, that's the video. It was only to week 7, so I will complete this with a week 8 to week 13. Whereas week 14, I'll be doing a solo video on the Eagles-Panthers game. I'm not really expecting anything great. The Eagles look really good. But Bryce Young and the Panthers these last couple weeks have looked really good. And I'm excited to talk about the games where Bryce came back. I have a lot more videos planned. I want to do a lot of history with the Panthers going back to when we were made. We came into the league. I want to talk about Jake Delhomme. I want to talk about Musa Muhammad, Steve Smith, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. I want to talk about the greats of this team, Cam Newton. I want to talk about our Super Bowl seasons, when we went against the Patriots in 2004, 2005, when we went to the Super Bowl against the Broncos in 2015. That's when I became a hardcore fan. So, I hope you'll stick around. I know it's going to be a little bit rough for the start here. I'm new to a lot of this. I'm learning how to edit. I'm learning how to record. I'm learning what makes good sound. So, if you would, leave a like, maybe subscribe. And as always, Charlotte, keep pounding.